Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance copywriter and copywriting mentor, and I want to talk to you about AI or artificial intelligence because it is freaking people out. So, is AI phasing out human written copy? Are robots going to take our jobs? Before we really dig into this, I want to say that I have seen an increase in interest in this, and it is kind of mind boggling. I think that it's important to touch on the fact that there is a chance that all of our jobs will be replaced by robots someday in the far, far future. And so that is why I am a huge proponent for always being flexible and always being a forever student. The world is changing. That is what 2020 taught us, right? The world is changing. There's so much unexpected. Any idea that we have control is kind of an illusion. So I really want to invite you to kind of challenge yourself from a mindset standpoint to push back on some of these fears. Because I have found, for the most part, that worrying about things like this just creates unnecessary anxiety. But the interest in artificial intelligence has kind of skyrocketed since December 2021. And maybe you've heard of some of the AI services like CopyShark, CopySmith, and Snazzy AI. These are all services that, are really making copywriters a little bit worried. Before I dig in any further onto some of the reasons why I just don't think this is something we need to worry about in the near future, I want to touch on a piece of personal evidence that kind of gives me some of this confidence. So, one of my copywriting clients actually happened to have on their team the person who was one of the lead developers of Watson, which is the gold standard in artificial intelligence. And now the thing about this is they were at the top, at the very top in this process. And I had the wonderful opportunity in my, time working with this company where I got to actually speak with him on a regular basis and interview him. And so I asked him actually this very question. And what he told me was that language is one of the more difficult things for AI machines to be able to master. And that's because, one, it is constantly changing. Think about all the new words that we are using and introducing into our lexicon on a daily almost basis. I sometimes, when I'm talking to my little sister, feel like an old person because she is constantly using words that I have no idea what they mean. That is the nature of language. It is living, it is breathing, it is growing, it has historical context and connotation, and so it is incredibly, incredibly complex and nuanced. The other thing he mentioned is that one of the very last things AI will ever be able to nail is humor. Again, because of its deep complexity and its ability to cross different cultures and include historical references and current events. And now I want to add a few more reasons as to why I just don't think this is something that should keep you up at night. AI can emulate emotion, but copywriters pull from empathy and shared experiences. And that, my friend, is something that a machine cannot replicate. I mean, any AI developing copy is going to have to probably create fictitious stories. And there is just nothing that rings more true than a genuine connection over a shared experience. And that is why I encourage copywriters to find their niches based on what is important to them. Because oftentimes, copywriting students of mine, for example, they go into niches where they have had some experience themselves, and therefore it's become important in their story and in their life. And that allows them to connect on a much more profound level with their readers. The next one is that I think AI really revolves around compiling data. Whereas copywriters have the ability to think outside the box, to try new things, and they're not afraid of the guesswork. There's no such thing as perfect copy because not everybody is going to react to the same words the same way. And I think that there's something so beautiful about copywriters' ability to be okay with that uncertainty. It's why I always remind my students that it's okay to not feel 100% about what you're doing, because our job is to be a forever student and to test things, to see how they, work and then tweak them and try again. Another reason I think this will be a difficult transition is that AI can be great at conveying useful information, but humans are pro storytellers. We have been doing it since the creation of language. Again, good copy that is empathetic and connected through shared experiences, or at least through empathy, creates some of the most powerful copywriting. AI is going to have to pull from human experiences, create stories, and kind of make it work. I really think that deep down, a lot of us will be able to pick up on that intuitively. Meaning, I think that in some cases, probably not all, we could read AI generated copy and kind of intuitively know that something is off about it. AI might be able to keep up with trends, but I really believe that consumers will be able to see through that. And what I mean by this is that even though AI might be able to incorporate some current events and interpretations and connotations pretty quickly, I think it's just going to be moving too fast and that consumers will be able to see through it. So again, to wrap up, I really want to touch on the idea that things are always changing, and sitting around and worrying about whether or not AI is going to steal your job just really doesn't seem like a good use of your time. I know that our brains are wired for fear, but I want you to push back on it with some solid mindset work. Remind yourself that you're safe, that you're a forever student. Maybe remind yourself of a time where you had the ability to figure things out, maybe something that was really complicated and scary, but you did it anyway. Those are the things that I remind myself so that I can always kind of know that I have the ability to kind of figure everything out no matter what life throws at me. Because believe it or not, the solutions are out there. There are people who have been through exactly what you're going through. And so the same thing applies to the kind of concept that the world might change to where AI will take over our jobs. So push back on that fear. You're smarter than that, and get back to work. Share with me in the comments, has this freaked you out? I hope it hasn't kept you up at night. And of course, hit that thumbs up button if you like this, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.